Okay, so hi everyone. Thank you for attending this training session. Thank you, Pierre, for your presentation, which shown that the theoretical part of the substar, what it is meant to be, but now we'll see practically what is happening with substar. Now we are going to dive a little more into the current discussion for the next substar. So the next one will be substar 25 next this month and substar 26 next year. So as Pierre presented you, the substar is a technical and technological advice body, but actually, so that's why we don't coordinate the position between Europe, but we consult each other to know what are the position. And actually, it is a technical and technological body, but it's in the field, it's already quite political because some discussion that will occur in substar are quite influenced by the future discussion of COP. So, but we'll see in the slide. So the idea of this presentation is to give you an insight of what will be on the table for next substar meeting. And so I'm Robin Coffreau from the French Foundation for Research on Biodiversity. I'm one of the two French national focal points for substar, along with Denis Duclos, who introduced this training session this morning. And I'm in this position since 2019 for substar 23, and it has been quite a special, actually, a special phase between substar 23 and now, because we have this pandemic, who also changed a little bit the way we worked on these arenas, because we couldn't have some physical meetings. So it changed a little bit the process, but now we are back into physical meetings, so everything's in line. So I have to go back a little to explain for what will happen for the next substar, what we are coming from. So we have this COP15 outputs, which with this agreed package of decision, we had in December, last December, this 6 document, which with one decision for each on this very subject, because the idea was to have on one side the dimension of the ambition of the global biodiversity framework, but also to avoid the failure of Aichi, to also have all the monitoring and reporting process that can allow for the reviewing of the progress along this global framework, and the means and the resources that the implementation of this framework will need, which also lacked in the Aichi target. So lesson learned, this new framework try to do better on these 2 aspects, and it will, you'll see, it will come back at every step of the process for this new strategy, that implementation and reporting, reviewing the progress is the main thing that people are discussing, along with this also with resources discussion. So yes, so this outputs of COP15. So we had, I told you, this GBF with 4 goals and 23 targets. The 3 first goals of the GBF are aligned with the pillars of the convention, so the conservation, the sustainable use, and the sharing of the benefits, along with the 4th goal, which is specially dedicated to implementation, so on different aspects of the biodiversity measures to implement. So it encompasses some resources aspect with the financial means to implement the framework, with the financial gaps to fill to attain this level of financial resources we need. Also, along with the mainstreaming of biodiversity in each level of the society, from the consumer to the sectors and to the government and to the regulation. And also with this, all this package has been decided in order to have this implementation and to have some results in the field. So we'll go further. So this is the timeline from COP15 to COP19, which will be held in 2020, which will indicate the end of this the current framework, which has been adopted in December. So as you see, there's one COP every 2 years, but one Substar meeting each year, which means we have 2 Substar meetings between each COP. And the idea is to have some message from one COP to the Substar, which has 2 meetings to work on, and then Substar will give this answer back for the next COP and its messages. There's also the other body, which we didn't talk much about, but was introduced by Pierre, which is the SBI, Subsidiary Body for Implementation, which is involved in the reporting reviewing process, but I won't speak too much about it today. So you see in this timeline, so we had the adoption of the global strategy in COP15 last December. So now the parties have to align their national biodiversity strategy and action plans with the outputs of the COP15. So they are until COP16 to communicate these updated NBSAPs to the Secretariat. And then there will be, for COP16, the result of a global analysis of these NBSAPs to see if it's how it is aligned, how the country and the parties forcing this their action at national level to fulfill their commitments to the convention. And then after COP16, so NBSAPs are produced, so action is hoped, and then we have the national report to be sent to the convention for COP17 in 2026. So it will be the 7th national report. So these national reports from our parties will be aggregated and analyzed for into a first global assessment of progress of this GBF. And then we have this other round of national reporting with the 8th national reports to be produced by 2029 with this second global assessment for the COP19. And this COP19 also will be the adoption of the next framework for the period to 2030 to 2040. All fitting into the CBD vision at 2050, which is to live in harmony with nature. So you'll see after this COP15, the main words for the process and for Substar will be implementation and reporting. And under reporting, I encompass several things, but we'll come back to this later. So the global issues for Substar 25. So this is what the general spirit and the general issue that we'll face during the Substar 25. So it will be, as already presented by Christine Rosendahl this morning, that we will have this still the follow-up of what happened in COP15. I mean, the North-South debate, which was the North countries, the North bloc, willing to have a strong framework with high ambition, and the South parties, which call for resources to implement this ambition. So that's why we had this, as I showed you earlier, this package with the balance between the means and the ambition, and that's what we will have to work on for the next meeting. So we also have this issue of constraint and transparency. Under constraint, we already also discussed this, the convention on this not binding property. We have maybe some parties who don't want too much constraint on what they're doing nationally. So these constraints go through the goals and the targets of the GBF, which have some values to reach for the global level, which should be also relayed at national level by the parties. So we have these constraints that some may want to limit, and we also have all this transparency principle with all the process of the reporting. So which in reality is called planning, monitoring, reporting, and reviewing of the progress along the whole strategy. So it encompasses the monitoring framework, which encompasses the indicator sets that will be used to assess the progress. So this is a big thing for the discussion currently. So this monitoring framework, which will be the tool to assess if countries are doing well or not, is the center of the discussion. So we have this issue of constraint and transparency, and also we have an issue of integration versus the mandates, and I will explain. So integration is as we know now, we have the knowledge of the interdependency of several issues and several crises. For example, the climate crisis and the biodiversity one. So there is a need to make a more systemic approach between climate and biodiversity, for example. But it's not only climate. We also have questions around health, for example, into the One Health approaches and this kind of thing. But integration also encompasses the integration of people, not only of the issues. So we also at COP15 have had a strong discussion on this principle of integration. So we have, I think, more inclusive regarding the IPLCs, for example. The IPLCs inside the GBF. We also have integration of the gender and youth and this kind of associating different issues to have a very consistent strategy. But this integration movement face the question of the mandates that some parties raised during the meeting, which can encompass the legitimacy of the convention to also introduce or integrate some other arena issue, for example, climate. Some parties consider that we can't decide target or result on the climate inside the convention, which is dedicated to biodiversity. So some wants to separate and don't talk too much about this other issue inside the CBD. But it's also this question of mandates also touch the bodies, because some parties also consider that this body has a mandate and we cannot go out of the mandate. And sometimes it's also a question of interpretation of the mandate. So we have this global discussion of some countries who want to have a high ambition, and some on specific point who have problems with some of the point of the strategy, and some would want to have a more constraintful strategy, and some other wants to have a more constraintful strategy. And it's also aligned with the debate on the resources, on, for example, the ABS as already presented this morning, and the DSI, which is also a bargain chip sometimes for some discussion and some negotiation. But I won't go too far on this. So globally, the risk, this global issue can bring to the strategy is we could have a restricted set of indicators because of methodological aspect, for some capacity building aspect for some countries, saying that we don't have the means to have this whole set of indicators. We prefer to have a reduced set of indicators. So we also have the risk to have some issues regarding climate or health not taken into account into the discussion, that which couldn't help the strategy to have a systemic dimension. And also sometimes we also have some trouble with the recognition of some work, for example, from IPBES or IPCC, that some parties don't want to see appearing in the text of the CBD. So this is for the global issue we will face. But now we are diving into the topics. So this is the agenda items for SUBSA 25. It starts by number 3 because I took off the 2 first one, which is the opening of the meeting and some procedural aspects, just to focus on the very thematic and processing agenda items. So the documents associated to each of these agenda items are available on the CBD website. Usually these documents are available 6 weeks before the beginning of the SUBSA meeting. It's not always possible, but it's what we are trying to do, or the Secretariat is trying to do. And also, if you want to learn a little more about these agenda items and what will be the discussion during the SUBSA 25 in Nairobi this month, you also have an annotated agenda into the CBD website, so you can have more details on each of these agenda items. So I will dive a little into this agenda items. So I separate some of these agenda items. For example, we have some monitoring items for example, the 3A and the 3B. The 3A is on the monitoring framework, so the set of indicators. The 3B is about the monitoring, reporting, reviewing process, and the C is also about the implementation. So I will address this into some kind of a package. And then we also have some thematic agenda items, I would say. So we have an agenda items on for the 3D on plant conservation. We have another one on invasive alien species, number 5. The 6th agenda items is on sustainable wildlife management, and the last one is on biodiversity and climate change. And there is also this, I call it support agenda item, which is number 4, which deals with the findings of the IPBES and IPCC last assessment and report, and what it implies for the work of the convention. So I will dive a little into these agenda items. For example, so we have this agenda item 3 on the monitoring framework. So so we have a document which is the Substar 25/2 document. Sorry, which will address the work of the ad hoc technical expert group, which has been set up to work especially on indicators. And we also have into this document an annex, which have inside a list of binary indicators, and during the Substar 25, the main discussion will be on the adoption of this annex. So just to remind a little on this topic, on the right side, you have the table with the indicator set that came out from COP15. And we have three, we'll say three package of indicators. The one in green are already available, so already validated, as I would say. We also have some indicators principle or names which appear in yellow, but which need to be developed because they have no methodology agreed now. So we have to have this methodology to know how to compute them. And we also have some gaps in the frameworks. You see, for example, in target 8 and 14, 16, 17, and the bottom of the table, that we have targets without headline indicators. So we still have hole in the monitoring process. So the idea of the ATEG is to address these gaps. But actually, so the ATEG has been set up this year and has been mostly working on the binary indicators. What are the binary indicators? In the COP15 decision on the monitoring framework, so we had this table, and we also had a list of binary indicators, which I show you a little example on the bottom left, which are questions you answer by yes or no, and you know if you are green or red on this indicator. So we have a list of indicators to fill the red lines on the table, but also to complete some of the other indicators which have the goals of targets who have a little b aside of their name. So we have this list of binary indicators, and this what will be discussed during during Substar 25. So, for example, on the bottom left, you have one indicator which is associated with goal B. Goal B is on sustainable use. So this indicator text would be the number of countries with policies or action plans for implementing and monitoring the maintenance and enhancement of ecosystem function and services. So this is the indicator, and under you have some 3 sub-questions. You can answer by no on the development, yes partially, or yes fully. It's it's often question about the means, about the setting or the implementation of an action plan on a topic. For example, the first sub-question is, do your country have policies or action plans targeting the maintenance or enhancement of ecosystem function and services of benefit to people? So if you have nothing on this, you quote no. If you want to do it, but you still have not started to do it really, so you have no, but it's under development. You already did something on this, but it not fully respond to the sub-question. So you report yes partially, and if you're doing really, really well, you can quote yes fully. And for example, for this example, the number of countries, policies, or action plan, you have to have a yes partially or yes fully for each sub-question to have a yes for the global indicator. So if you ask your country, do you have a policy or action plan for implementing, monitoring the maintenance, etc., you have to quote C or D for each sub-question to have a green light for your country on this specific indicator. So this is the principle. So this is what will be discussed during Substa 25. We also have, as always, presented to you by Pierre, the recommendation part for the Substa document. And for this one, there is also the consideration of the work of the ATEG, because the ATEG has already said has worked on binary indicators, but also will produce some documentation and metadata for all the missing methodology of the framework and the term of reference for all of this. But there is still a blurry area about what could be done by the ATEG after Substa 25. Sorry. And if the headline indicators, I'm not talking about the binary one, but the one in yellow, is these gaps, are these gaps will be addressed during Substa 26? We still don't know those. So there will be discussion on this, on the process and of the ATEG and what could be done. So if I switch for the next, for the next topic. So we have this, as I said, monitoring, implementation, and reporting topics. So sorry. So we have this document 25/3 on the planning, monitoring, reporting, and reviewing. So this document will deal about the advisory group to be implemented to help on this, and also will call the Substa and SBI to review the draft report template that will be produced and propose to parties to report on their national progress. So I put on the table R just under the previous structure of the 6 national reports. So this is what this agenda item will discuss on. We also have the document 25/4, so approaches to identify needs for implementation of the strategy. So this document will propose some update of the work programs under the undertaken under the CBD, with several guidance associated with targets. So on the right side, you see there is some guidance on land use planning and on the restoration, on human-wildlife conflicts, and etc., which one could be associated to one or several targets of the BF. So there will be discussion on this work program. So this is for the /4. And after, as I told you earlier, which I call the support agenda item. So this is the document from /6 to /9, which deals with some reports by IPBES and IPCC. So the first one is on the value and valuation of nature. There is another one on sustainable use of wild species, another one of invasive alien species, and the last one which is on the findings of the sixth assessment of the IPCC, so on climate. And if you look at the document and at the text and the recommendation, this inside this Substat 25 document, for now we have essentially quotation and support for this report to be considered during discussion and implementation. But the idea is also to go forward or further than just this, and we need more impactful recommendation on this. So for example, we have some principle that appears in this report that could be integrated somewhere in the process of CBD. So the discussion on this will be, what could we do more than just saying, okay, we welcome the result of this report, which is not also always agreed on, but how can we evaluate more this production and this support to the discussion? So this is the slide with which I've called the thematic agenda items. So on the Substat 25/5, we have this plant conservation agenda items. So on this topic, we have a global partnership for plant conservation, which already produced a strategy for plant conservation worldwide. And the idea for this Substat 25 is to see how this global strategy for plant conservation can contribute to the different targets of the GBF. So there will be, I think, discussion on is this action of the global strategy for plant conservation could contribute to this aspect of the GBF target. So this will be the main discussion on this aspect. On the invasive alien species, actually the document 25/10 have 6 annexes, and this discussion during Substat 25 is to propose these 6 annexes to be adopted at COP16. So there will be discussion inside these annexes to see if it really fits, what is the opinion of the parties on this. And also, on a more methodological aspect, there will be also a discussion on the working group to collaborate and to report to the SBI on this very topic. We also have this 25/11 on the wildlife sustainable management. On this topic, the discussion will deal with extension of already existing guidance on the meat sector to other sectors and other geographical areas, other species and other uses, with the dog produced by the Secretariat. And also, as I told you just on the previous slide, we also need to integrate some policy recommendation that appears in the IPBES report inside this thematic agenda item. So that's why I meant on the previous slide by extending just the recognition of this report from IPBES or other initiatives. For the last thematic topic on climate change, so the /12, parties were called earlier this year to produce some feedbacks on biodiversity and climate change, some statements, some guidance. And the Secretariat aggregated all these feedbacks for the parties to deliver this for Substat 25 and recommendation. So this is the content of the document. The idea is to recommend parties to urge the action on the climate change related to biodiversity. So it deals with targets 8 and 11. So it on the content, there are some recommendations from IPCC report to be incorporated into the Substat document. But there will also be a consultation to come on NBS by the UNEA. Also, there are inside this document some messages on bioenergy risks for biodiversity and ecosystem services, and some insight on ocean acidification and deoxygenation and heating. So, so this is for Substat 25. So you see all the topic that will be addressed, with the global issue to keep in mind on some want to diminish or to reduce the constraints that the strategy could apply on them. And some want the opposite, some are really focused on the means, some less. Some want less indicators, some want more indicators. So this will be the central, the core debate during Substat 25. So we also have the agenda items for the next Substat, so next year. So I will just present you. I won't dive into them. So we have still one item on the monitoring frameworks, because discussion will be ongoing on this aspect until COP16 and maybe further. We also have three agenda items on marine biodiversity, and also what I call the biotech package, with the agenda item on synthetic biology, risk assessment and risk management related to the Cartagena protocol. Also detection and identification of living modified organisms. So these three I call the biotech package. And also one topic on the biodiversity on health, which already has been discussed during the post-20 process before the COP15, but with strong debates around the mandates, as I already told you. So this will be on the table again on I think it will be, yes, on May next year. So we will have some new discussion. So that's all for me. Thank you for your attention. Ready for questions if you have some.